Our fascination with negativity is giving us a skewed perception of our world, and we're overlooking many of the acts of goodness and kindness that occur every day. Welcome to my channel. This year we're celebrating 10 years of living with inner elegance, and I'd like to thank you all for being on this amazing journey with me. I'm Caroline Phipps, the founder of Living with Inner Elegance. So one thing this 10-year anniversary has done is encouraged me to look back at the metrics to see what it is that people are most interested in. And when I look back, the subject that has got the most attention is the one that I entitled Hurt. What are you going to do? And it's an exploration of how hurt we feel and the consequences of how we react to that hurt. Well, clearly, negativity has a very strong pull in our lives. There is a big seduction around bad news and negativity. And this has led me to take a little bit of a dive into it to see why that would be. Particularly as I've noticed recently that there have been some amazing pieces of good news in the news cycle. But as usual, they've been buried under a cacophony of doom and gloom, which tends to happen all the time. We've got the FBI report that shows in 2023, crime statistics significantly decreased. We've got the updated empathy report that shows American youth is showing a tendency to way more empathy than the previous generations. There's the 2024 happiness report that is showing that we as human beings are more inclined today to go to help one another with acts of kindness and caring. And one of the ones that I really loved was the baby who was born unable to hear, but with cutting edge technology has now had his hearing given to him in this miraculous new medical procedure. So there's a lot of good positive stuff going on. There is an expression in the newsroom, if it bleeds, it leads. And this came from the American entrepreneur and publisher, William Randolph Hearst. And in the 1890s, he was a big newspaper publisher. And every time they published catastrophic stories about people, he noticed that his reading figures went through the roof. And this is where that expression comes from. And he was tapping into this tendency that we have to be fascinated by the negative. Well, one of the reasons I think about this is why it's happening today, is that people with positive, uplifting news tend to be way more modest. And it leads me to remember President Carter, former President Carter, who at the age of 95 and numerous medical issues was still going out to build Habitat for Humanity houses around the world. Did this make the headlines? No, it didn't. So what is it about us that we're so drawn to the seductive power of bad news? Every generation for millennia we've had this collective belief that we're doomed, we're not going to survive, things used to be better before, and it's all going to be a big mess. And there is a reason for that. We are hardwired to be aware of bad news. For our physical safety, we're going to listen to a tornado warning, but maybe pay less attention to a beautiful spring day. Psychologists have a name for this. It's called negative bias. Put us in a brain scan and subject us to negativity, and the electrical impulses in our brain go off the charts compared to what happens if we get positive stimuli. So it's a primitive survival mechanism. And today, many of us are fortunate enough to not be in a situation where we're worried about our physical safety. But we take this with us into every aspect of our life. And we are ready to be very aware of negativity and bad news. There are other things we get from bad news too. If we are aware of horrible things happening to other people, it can make us feel better about our own lives in that, oh, well, thank heavens, I don't have to deal with that. Or if we watch some negative behavior and somebody's shame, we might feel self-righteous and self-justified. Well, I would never behave that way. And then there's a third thing that happens with this seductive power of bad news, and it's that it certifies that belief that we have, that things are going to the dogs, it's never going to be okay, and look, there's the proof. This focus, this over-attention to negativity and bad news means that we have a skewed perception of our world. We are not aware so much of the positivity and the goodness that goes on all the time, around us all the time, around the globe all the time. So we have a mission, I would suggest, to try to consciously shift that focus back to the positive. It's going to help us, our minds, our bodies, our spirits, and by implication, the rest of the world and the people around us. The late John O'Donoghue, the wonderful Irish poet, said this amazing thing. He said, we tend to reside in spaces too small and shabby for the grandeur of our spirit. So let's not do that. Let's not have that be us. Let us have positivity and look out for the kindness and the goodness in the world. I'm delighted that you've been with me today. Please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, click on the like button and the little bell for notifications so that you know when other Living with Inner Elegance videos are coming out. I also have this beautiful new website, carolinphipps.com, which is packed with tools for helping us to live a life with more inner elegance. It has podcasts, articles, videos. Fabulous. I would encourage you to have a look. And if you aren't signed up for my mailing list, do that through the website. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. I will see you next time.